TNTM the show, lore, videojuegos part 2. Picking up where I left off, I was talking about how I would play games with my amigos. That's something that I also remember playing is I played with Slay J is Gears of War. Have always loved Gears of War. Playing the two-player campaign with him, that was so epic. Just the first one. We didn't play any of the other ones together. I know that Aaron, I think they might have played the other two together. I think Aaron was pretty, if I recall, he was pretty hardcore into Gears of War. I've always loved Gears of War, but that was really the only time that I used that first one. But I loved playing Guitar Hero and all those games with friends and buddies and stuff. That was always a blast. We had so much fun doing that stuff. Kind of harkening back to the younger years, with all the games, you had your X-Men games, you had your Mighty Morphin Power Rangers games, and all those things where it's like the comics and the shows and the movies, Aladdin, like all these, so many. I miss when I've said this before, but I miss when they would have like the shows, the movie, the cartoon, the comics, and there's a game. Like they're all tied together, and it's like it was just this perfect in sync thing, and I really wish we could get back to that. And I understand like games nowadays it takes a lot more time, but it's like just make them into side scroller beat 'em ups. That's fine. I'm good with that. Like, hey, just reskin, repolish. Heck, I'm at the place in my life where I don't even want new games. I just want repolished or remastered versions of the old games. But also getting back into how this really ties in together of the whole TNTM the show is we wanted to start off as a video game podcast. And I say that because I lived in Oklahoma for a few years. I played a lot of video games. That's where I played a lot of Guitar Hero. I played with this guy Moose. I really got into Mass Effect, like hardcore. I played the first one and then just did like a super super deep dive and just played that. I've played that so many times. I have like I feel like I know everything about it. Like I could write my own guide because I just know so much about at least the first. Well, no, I would say the entire trilogy because I've just played it all of them so much. I played that. I listened to a lot of podcasts, and so I was like, I really want to do a video game podcast. So when I moved back to back to New Mexico, Nuevo Mexico from Oklahoma, I was like, let's get a crew together. Let's review video games, and that's how it started. It started off as a video game review podcast, and that's also when GameFly first started. So I really was like ambitious and was like, let's team up with GameFly and do a little like, hey, we'll make them big, they make us big, whichever way goes first type of thing. And didn't pan out that way. We still use GameFly, but that's what it started as. This was just a video game podcast. But that's the thing about video games is that they are the hardest to review because, and it's not because not a lot of people play them, which I feel like probably is true. I feel like if I go into a room full of people and ask them, have you played this game versus like, have you watched this show? The likeliness that they'll watch a show or a movie versus play a game is going to be way better, and for the game or the show, and that's why like and it's so time consuming, and that's part of it too. Video games are so time consuming. Yes, they're like unlike any other media though, where it's you can get a full blown experience. I go, you drop 50, 60, $70 on a game, you're going to get a full blown experience. And it's really kind of usually up to you on how much you want to put into that. Like there's some games that are shorter if you just do the main story. Like Skyrim, you can do the main story, and it's hard to do just the main story, but you can. That's another game that's like legendary. That's one of the games I think we reviewed early on. Like I said, as well as Portal 2. And oh man, speaking of, I played Left 4 Dead. I remember playing Left 4 Dead. I think it was with Slay J, and then I later had like horrible nightmares playing that game that night and concurrently nights after that. So I could not play Left 4 Dead for the longest time without having nightmares. And then finally I started playing the other ones and I was like, oh, I'm okay. I used to have really intense dreams. We transitioned because the new 52 comics started, and so we kind of transitioned over to comics, and that became our weekly podcast. And then we just did like a monthly for video games because that's monthly is the easiest way to do video games, really, because there's usually only like one to a few games that are worth playing per month, depending on, and then like I said, how time consuming they are. We had the ambassador as our Nintendo guy. He started off as our Nintendo guy, and he was called the ambassador because he was part of the ambassador program for the 3DS because he was one of the few people that bought a 3DS when they came out, and so they gave you like free games and stuff. And it was called the ambassador program. So we're like, yeah, the ambassador, and then it just stuck with him, and he really was kind of carried on that kind of attitude and mantle throughout the entirety of the run of TNTM the show until the end. But that is tea for another time, perhaps. Eventually we'll get to all that dirt later. But as of right now, we're just talking about the backstory. And that's why we don't really cover games as much now. Like I'm just gonna focus on, the games that like if it's TMNT, if they have Power Rangers, which I haven't covered the most recent Power Rangers game, unfortunately, and then whatever else, like I don't know, nerdy. I try to stick to nerdy, like Ultimate Alliance. If it's Marvel, I'm like, if it's Marvel, even DC, like Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, like all those. If it's ties into other things, it should be covered by what's going to be me. I will be doing a TMNT Splinter Fate review eventually, hopefully soon. I feel like I'm getting close to the end of it. That's how like that all ties together. So check out our merch at TNTM the store, where you can find literally this merch on sale right now with free shipping. I try to keep this one on there just because I wear it a lot or all the time, especially when I go to the gym. I got my Spider Ombre merch, which is the prototype. There's actually a better version online, and then the X Ombre hoodie, which yeah, it is expensive. That's really not up to me. It's up to our provider, Printful. We go through Printful, and so they really just set the prices, and we only make like not even $5 because we have free shipping. So our profit margin is based on how much the shipping costs. Thank you for watching and listening, my fellow nerdy amigos.